welcome back everyone to part 2 of competition style brisket. If you didn't check out the first video, I would recommend it, where we go over exactly how to prep your brisket and separate the point from the flat and get it ready for injection. For injection today, we're going to be using some beef stock with some prime brisket injection from Butchers BBQ. Go ahead and throw this into a mixing bottle and get it prepped and grab your injector. When injecting, you'll want to inject the flat. We're not going to be injecting the point, and inject every 1 inch or so across your flat. Then go ahead and put the point on top of the flat just to absorb some of that moisture, and then go ahead and flip the flat over and score the backside of the fat cap, getting just down into the muscle enough so then that way we can help this flat get a little more additional seasoning down to the meat. Now for rubs today, we are doing a mixture of the Oak Ridge, Our Butts Are Smoking, and Bullvine Bold rubs. So go ahead and throw all of this in a bowl and mix this guy up. We're going to start with the backside of the flat meat first. Go ahead and season this guy up nice and thick, and then go ahead and season the backside of your point. The reasoning why we're seasoning the back sides is just so then that way we finish off with seasoning the tops. That's how they'll go in the fridge and makes it that much easier to pull them in the morning. After you've seasoned one side, make sure to allow them to rest for 15 minutes until the seasoning looks wet, and then go ahead and flip it over. When you flip it over, you shouldn't be losing too much seasoning if you allowed it to rest enough. Once you're done with the seasoning, throw these in the fridge overnight and set your alarm to be prepared for an 8 to 10 hour smoke. Keep in mind that the brisket will want to rest for 2 hours after done smoking. 4:30 a.m. Go ahead, set your smoker to 220 and throw these bad boys on.
3 hours later.
Alright, these briskets are looking awesome, you guys. We've got an additional smoke tube in there along with a water bowl to keep the humidity up. We're also going to be spraying these down. Once you see that the seasoning is tacked up, spray it down with some apple juice and apple cider vinegar every half an hour to an hour.
Six hours later.
At this point, you guys, it's been right around 6 hours, but honestly, we're going for color rather than actual time or temperature. At this point in time, you'll see that this brisket has an incredibly dark mahogany looking color. This is the bark that we want, and we're going to keep this well established even through the braising period. The reason why you go for color though and not time is just because every smoker is going to act differently with different meats. Once you have this dark, rich, mahogany looking color, go ahead and pull them and be prepared for the braising. Today for the mop sauce, we're keeping it simple. We're going to add some prime dust, also made by Butchers BBQ, mixed in with some beef stock. What we're trying to accomplish is just adding as much juice and flavor into these briskets as we possibly can. So go ahead and lay your briskets down on a couple sheets of tin foil and tent up the tin foil, so then that way you can pour about a cup of your mop sauce onto them, and then wrap these things as tight as you possibly can. The thing about tin foil is the tin foil is really going to help us in being able to braise these briskets to introduce even more moisture and flavor into them. The problem with it though is that when we do this, we can also potentially form steam on the inside of this tin foil, which will actually get rid of the bark that we just worked so hard creating. So once you have these wrapped, be sure to give the brisket and the point a really good squeeze, eliminating any sort of air pockets that may be in between the tin foil and your meat. So then that way we get rid of any sort of chance of steam being able to form in this second process that will get rid of our bark. For the second half of our cook, we're going to be finishing the brisket and the point in the oven just because it's unnecessary to put it on the smoker since we can't introduce any more smoke flavor. I'm going to be monitoring these with the Inkbird Wi-Fi thermometer. Right now, our brisket and point are sitting at 145 and 155. This Wi-Fi monitor can be monitored from anywhere, and inside of this app, you can set timers or even temperature reminders where the app will go off to let you know when it's getting close. On top of this Wi-Fi thermometer will graph out the temperatures and go ahead and mark these out for you. You can see a little dip in my chart there just because I readjusted my thermometers. But after a couple more hours, we check back and we're sitting at 200 and 197. Now, this is really close for me to pull. Some of you at sea level will probably want to pull this closer to 203, but here in Colorado at a high elevation, 201 is equivalent to 203. So we're going to go ahead and get these things pulled. Now that we have these guys pulled, go ahead and remove some of the tin foil. We just want to check on these things, make sure that we still have a decent amount of liquid in here, that we still have the bark that we want. At this point in time, if something went wrong and the tin foil wasn't wrapped tightly enough and you lost a lot of the bark color, you could potentially throw this back on the smoker to reestablish that bark. You'll see that it looks like we did a pretty good job at wrapping these things because both the point and the flat still have this dark mahogany color. Since we still have the juices resting below the point and the flat in the tin foil, it means that we successfully wrapped this guy, cooked it just to the right temperatures. Now go ahead and just loosely wrap these back up in the tin foil and throw it in a cooler for the next 1 to 2 hours to allow those juices to settle. Last thing we got to do is work on making our burnt ends. We're going to go ahead and cube up the point here, cutting in one direction, go back and cut in the other direction, and then we're going to throw all of our cubes inside of a pan and add some barbecue sauce, toss them a little bit, and get these back on the smoker. So make sure you have your smoker running right now at 220 again. For barbecue sauces, it's really all up to you guys what you want to use. Me and my buddy Tyler here, we're going to be using some Memphis style, some sweeter barbecue sauces. Nothing too spicy, just because our wives don't really like heat when it comes to eating food, I guess. But go ahead and add in whatever barbecue sauces you want, give these things a toss, and throw them back on. Now for the point, we're going to go ahead and just slice this guy up to somewhere right around pencil thick slices, right around about 1/8 of an inch thick. You'll see, you guys, that this brisket has an awesome smoke ring, tons of flavor, still has our really dark, good bark. It loosely hangs over the finger, and it easily pulls apart. This brisket is looking awesome.
So good.
Thanks guys for watching the video. Make sure to check out other ones. Welcome to 5280 Barbecue. Make sure to like and subscribe.